Hello and welcome to another Black Crow video. This is another one with me, Sam, uh, Black Crow's melee expert. And today I'm here, as the title suggests, you already know, here to talk about the World Eaters Codex's first GT win. Now, it was me. So it's first-hand information. I'm going to talk through the list, what the event was like, what I went up against, some of the matchups, some of the key moments in all the games. I'm not going to, if you've seen my previous tournament review when I won a GT with the Index World Eaters, it won't be quite as detailed as that, but I wanted to get this a video out to you quickly, and that video takes a lot of time. So I'm gonna jump right in to talk about the uh, tournament in a second, but first I need to just quickly rattle off a couple of sponsor things. Please, subscribe, like the video. If you enjoy it, if you like the content, like it. Tells us what best to do in future, and will spur me on to win more events. And Other than that, we have Terrain Forge, a great sponsor of ours. If you want to practice, have terrain at home. It's great. The matches all the different tournament types. It's fantastic. Glasshammer, 5% off the store there. Their elite membership is really, really useful, and I highly recommend it. And then Trident, if you want to, have nice cases that are customizable, take your army to tournaments and keep it safe, and not have models rattling around and everything. Trident's fantastic. So the event I played in was called Peterborough Slam, which was in a place called Peterborough, if it wasn't obvious, in the UK. So the terrain is inspired, or some of the maps are very much inspired by UKTC boards, but there were some mix-ups and some interesting changes. It's always nice to go to events with different terrain. The event was ran very, very well. It was 2-day event, 5 games. There's only 26 players, so it is on the smaller side. But the skill level there was reasonably high for such a small local event. And yeah, so let's talk about my list first. So that's my run on the right. That's what I played against. That's my scores. I'm very, very happy with how the tournament turned out. Obviously, it was a very good showing for me, winning all 5 games, and obviously winning the event in the end. So the list is Berserker Warband. I think I've talked about either this exact list in one of my other videos or something very similar to it. After looking at all the terrain before submitting my list, which by the way everyone should always do, is look at the mission pack, look at the terrain layouts, try and make a decision on what you think is best for what sort of units you'll take, because there's situations. So I think that this list, so we'll just quickly go through it. So we've got the Helm Demon Prince, we've got Invocatus, we've got Khan, we've got a Juggerlord with Lust, and we've got Glaive Slaughterbound, 20-man unit of Berserkers, 10-man unit of Berserkers and a Rhino, 2 units of 10 Jackals, 2 units of Spawn, 2 units for Ain't-Bound, and 3 Exalted Ain't-Bound. So I think it's a fantastic list, but I think you've really got to, if you're just going to grab this list and take it to any game and put it on the table, I think you're going to have different issues depending on what the terrain's like. So the way I made the decision to take this list to this event was because in every single mission terrain layout, I could see a decent-ish place for that 20-man berserk unit. Some missions it was like, oh, there's an amazing place for it. It's really, really good here. Let me just it's gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna cause loads of problems for my opponents. And then some of the missions, and I'm gonna go through all the different terrain layouts. We're gonna talk through them. But yeah, so the terrain is very, very important for this list. There is some really, really good alternative lists out there for different terrain sets if you don't have that safe space for 20 berserkers. And also, I felt like if I came against something that made me really, really worried about being able to put the berserkers on the board, I do have Invocatus in the list as a fail safe of I could put him with the 20 and rapid ingress them. That'd be really interesting from deep strike. But that was sort of a fail-safe break in case of emergency situation. So I didn't end up doing that. Invocatus in every single one of my games ran solo. The Glaive Slaughter bound went into the um, Exalted Ain't Bound in reserve almost every game. There was one where he was on the board with a unit of Ain't Bound. And I'll explain why that decision was made later. But so I like the fact that the characters are sort of interchangeable into different units and stuff. And but the majority of the time, that's the way I played this game. So let's talk about the first game. Let's just hop right into it. So the first round was sweeping engagement with swift action and terraform, which is very, very similar to UKTC. And the terrain was very similar as well. I'll show the terrain. So here's the terrain layout. But I'm just going to quickly run through my opponent's list. So we're talking about triple Catan, triple DDA, bunch of scoring units, and that's basically the list, right? If I've managed to make a mistake on copying the lists over, which we've seen in previous videos, I've managed to do that before. Hopefully that hasn't happened here, but Voitas was a fantastic opponent. This list matchup for this mission as well, with the like flat layout, was tough for him. Like, I mean, this pairing was done earlier in the week, and I was looking at it feeling reasonably comfortable because, unlike in Index World Eaters, I feel like I can deal with Catan now. So with the board set up like this, I mean, we can see like here is obviously where my berserkers sat. So there's these all the ruins are reasonably tall, and then you've got these 3x3 crates with what I think it's 3x3x6 or 3x3x5. You can count the squares, but and those crates are treated as obscuring, but not breachable. So you can't just run infantry through them; they have to go like up and over or round. But the Juggernaut Lord lets your unit ignore terrain. So this entire tournament, wherever there's crates, I'm able to run straight through them with this 20-man Berserker unit because it's even though like not everybody else having to fly over them or go around them. So that was a huge thing for part of the reason why I brought that unit. And setting them up here in the middle, like there's easy space for them to set up. I put like the Demon Prince in this spot next to it, giving him loan up through the wall, and suddenly you've got this like this position in the middle where okay, I can threaten really far with an advance and charge, and I without an advance and charge, I very much threaten this middle objective. With the advance and charge, I could threaten any of the objectives technically. Like I could run this way or that way. So it was a really, really nice mission for me to start on. Obviously, all of this is on the it's pre-balanced data slate, which obviously was released today at the time of filming this, and the old, prior Nexus mission pack. So this isn't the new Terraform. This is the prior Terraform. So Voitas is playing Hypercrypt, which is usually quite annoying to sort of lock down, but World Eaters have a lot of speed, so they had the ability to mess with catch anything that he sort of threw around me, and him going first was also a tough one for him because I don't think any Hypercrypt player ever wants to go first, and then immediately got some not great secondaries. So he immediately obviously shuffled one away, and which helped, which meant he got containment. But because he had to deploy reasonably conservatively, he couldn't get any units fully out of his deployment zone and within 9 inches of the deployment edge to do an action. Because even the Transcendent Catan can teleport anywhere, but it has to advance to do that, which means it can't action. So yeah, this was a really interesting first game matchup, which was I felt quite favored into me, and him going first meant I got to just react to what he did. So he shifted some Catan forward up this way and sort of sat him forward, but he barely left his point zone. Put a few I think he towed onto an objective on this side to start terraforming, and I just shoved my Rhino onto the objective uh, to stop it. So there is it was quite a nice sort of starting point for that. So having the Rhino over here on the objective, and uh, mission board is missing some crates that were on the side here. But yeah, so the Rhino comes forward. I didn't bother moving my because I turn one I had area denial and assassinate. I didn't move my 10-man berserker unit forward. There was nothing for them to connect with. There was some stuff that was an inch away from the wall on the front here. So I just put the spawn in the middle and went, I'm just gonna stand on this objective, start doing terraform. If my opponent has to deal with it, if they shoot me, I stick the objective and score primary. If they have to, if they move on to the objective, then that gives me something for my berserkers to run into. So that's how that sort of started. I also pushed up on this right hand side with spawn and did the same thing here. With I had a unit of Ain't Bound and Jackals back here, so I used the Jackals to screen. So with the 20-man berserkers back here and the Jackals over here and then the Jackals over here, there was basically nowhere he could fit a DDA in the back area, even with a 6-inch deep strike, and he was struggling to fit it, and he couldn't fit anything with a 9-inch deep strike. So I really put the pressure on, like, okay, you're if you are doing your uppy downy nonsense, you're doing it in the midboard. So you're not coming behind me, you're not forcing me to come backwards, you're doing it in the midboard. So he wasn't able to do very much of that. He sort of brought some Catan forward and removed my spawn convincingly. The transcendent Catan on this side made a like 10-inch charge or 9 or 10-inch charge into my spawn on this objective to kill them. But when he set up that charge, because of the angle of this terrain, I actually rapid ingressed my Exalted Ain't Bound and the Slaughter Bound on the edge of this objective. And so he couldn't charge them, but he could, if he charged them and killed both spawn, we would have an equal OC on the objective. And when my spawn died, I would stick the objective on death. So because he didn't allow me to do it here by moving on to this objective. So it meant that I contested the objective, stuck it on death, and he was stood there with a Catan in front of my slaughter bound with glaive and exalted ain't bound, and then ain't bound as well. So there's a lot of so I felt like that was one of the key moves of this game because it meant that I just had control over that side. And then his other two Catan came forward here, and then we get an interesting situation where basically I advance and charge Khan's unit out of the Rhino, and they yeet themselves up towards my opponent's deployment zone to go after a DDA, sort of around the two Catan, and then the 20-man berserkers are going to yeet forward into the Void Dragon. And he heroicked into, and at the same time, I had Ain't Bound hitting a chaff unit, and my Demon Prince was hitting his destroyers. So I was going to charge the DDA at the back with Khan's unit, but then he heroicked with the Deceiver into my 20-man unit, and I went, I don't really want two Catan into my 20-man unit. That's kind of annoying. I don't know if I win that, especially if I struggle to kill. If I fail to kill that first Catan. I had sustained hits and lethal this turn as well. So I was like, well, let me just, and so I just charged Khan's unit into both Catan as well. So we ended up with a situation where here on the just on the outside of the objective, he wasn't on the objective, I was. I had two Catan in combat with 30 berserkers and 2 characters, and he was sandwiched between my 2 units. And then on this other side, I had Invocatus had charged the Catan to do mortals on the charge, and so it Ain't Bound, and so it Exalted Ain't Bound. So I had a bunch trying to hit this Catan as well. So we went into a situation where I'm like, I'm getting greedy. I'm going to try and kill all 3 Catan in one turn. And in the end, I killed 2 Catan and almost killed the third. So the 20-man unit, without some of them being able to attack because of like the small bases of the Catan and the spacing of some of this wall getting in the way a bit and other things like that. Even with the 3-inch engagement range, I didn't get all of their attacks, but they did one-shot the Void Dragon and failed to do any damage to the because I think I only had like 2 or 3 guys onto the Deceiver, and they failed to do any damage there. And then Khan's unit did 8 wounds to the Deceiver, to put it down to 4 wounds. And my go turn with my Slaughterbound, plus all of the other units there, managed to bring down the Transcendent. So I think it was like 30 something wounds to Catan in one phase, while picking up 2 of his other units of scoring stuff at the same time. And that basically just locked in the game. There was not really much else he could do about that. The DDAs never actually got to shoot the 20-man Berserks because they were locked in combat. He failed his battle shock. He didn't want to fall back with the Catan, and would have had to be, I would have been in Blood Surge range of stuff anyway. So he used the DDAs to shoot other things, but effectively he never got a chance to control the objectives very much, and because of that, he did come and steal my home, and I had to like send a Rhino back, and we had, he was scoring some points that way, especially with his secondaries. I mean, it's classic Hypercrypt, but the pressure from the army was just too much, and I was just picking up his stuff, and it wasn't being returned. So yeah, it was a good first game. It was a strong score. After that, after having the horrors of Index, dealing with Catan being a nightmare, like if Angron doesn't like connect with one and do a lot of damage, you're in trouble. This was satisfying. One-shotting a Catan with a 20-man Berserker unit, it was a dream. Like I say, Voites was a fantastic opponent. It was a really, really good game. It was a great start to the tournament. For me, not so much for him. So after that, I went into the second round, which is another one which is similar to UKTC. I should have done this in the other order, I think. But so this is the board, and we're going into Index T-Sun. So this is before the Codex Thousand Suns was a legal army. So this is the sort of last hurrah of the Index. And once again, it's another matchup that I was scared of, but with the Index World Eaters. Purge the Foe. I mean, Purge the Foe is not too bad when you have a huge unit that's a quarter of your army's points, but it still have lots of MSU units. But yeah, so let's look at my opponent's list. So it's not quite the standard Index Thousand Suns that I'm used to, but then again, they've been sort of abandoned as recent. So James was a lovely opponent, a young lad. I think he mentioned he was doing his GCSEs, so he's got a lot of time to grow into the hobby, and I think he's still relatively new. I think this was his second proper like event. Yeah, so we had like Araman, disc, a bunch of characters. Like the Exalted Sorcerer on the disc was running solo. We had like that classic Vortex Infernal Mass, and then we've got Magnus. We've got like Winged Demon Prince. We've got like the Zangor Shaman. 10 rubrics, 5 rubrics. They're all flamers. A Rhino, some cultists, which rip are gone now. Last hurrah for them. Defiler, Predator Annihilator, and then 6 Enlightened with the bows. So another time I went second. Going second on Purge the Foe is very, very nice. This game was a bit brutal, to be honest. So like the start of the game, my opponent goes first, and I've deployed. So this is one of the ones where I'm like, this could be rough deploying that 20-man Berserker unit, because if your opponent has lots of fast shooting, there's some interesting angles. Like I wanted to set up my Berserker unit here, basically. I want to get it into this spot. If I go first, or my opponent doesn't have any like fast vehicle stuff that they fast shooting that they want to put on the line, then I can get into this like U shape in the middle of the board, and then my opponent cannot shift me out here, and I threaten. I mean, I practically threaten their home objective at this point. So this is a really good mission if I can deployment if I can get into that position. Um, it was the way I viewed it before we started the event. So I set up on the line with my 29 Berserker unit here because I didn't think my opponent had enough that really like scared me of him. Like if he sets up on the line and eats himself down here, has he got a really nasty angle into me or anything like that? So there is some risky angles here. The same down here, like if you've got some like fast shooting that can get over here and get an angle. So there is some potential problems, but thankfully with this matchup, I didn't feel like I had them. So I set myself up on the line, and I go second. And because Thousand Suns don't have the infiltrate, uh, I scout a bunch of like stuff that I set up like out in the open forward. So we've got like spawn yeet themselves towards this objective, spawn and ain't bound yeet themselves into this middle part, um, and and yeah, normal 8 bound also come into here. This was a crucial thing because my opponent then went first, and I was forward and safe. Um, and so my opponent, lacking that slight bit of experience, maybe he decided to be fair, I think anyone could make this mistake because they're not used. Like who's used to playing against 20 berserkers that. I did my blessings. And I did reroll charges and 6-inch pylon. And because of my lust, that means I've got +1 to charge as well as reroll charges on the 20-man berserker unit. So he came and put a single character on this objective on the front, this exalted sorcerer on disc, onto this objective down here to do containment. Which who wouldn't put their a character, a lone character on an objective and do an action. It says his expansion objective. This is a very safe spot, right? Like I'm in my deployment zone still. Well, I went 3 strat because you have to declare the advance and charge for berserkers before you roll. I said 3 strat on the berserkers from the Demon Prince, and I rolled a 6. So I went, oh, okay. Let me just measure that out. And if you actually look at this map and measure it, like from this point here, it's like almost to the front of this terrain piece is the 16. After all the measuring and everything, I needed a 6-inch rerollable charge because I had the +1. So it was I needed a 7-inch charge, 6-inch rerollable because of my +1. And that's just to get into a character, which isn't that big of a deal, right? But the problem is behind that character he had his Rhino, which it would have been much further charge, but with 6-inch pylon, I can wrap around. So effectively, I like brought my entire unit and wrapped around. So then I ended up killing the Rhino and this character and tagging Araman's unit with 10 rubrics. Meanwhile, the Infernal Master unit also shuffled slightly forward, and I did basically charge 2 units of spawn and a unit of 8 bound into the Zangor Enlightened that move blocked me. But then once again, 6-inch pylon got into the rubrics and killed them as well. So effectively, I played into Thousand Suns where he never got to shoot a rubric, and I got rid of loads of his battle points really quickly, which was just felt mean. The threat range of those berserkers, like, oh, you've got one thing in the middle of the field. Well, let me just surround that thing while also running past it to then pile in into the stuff behind. And it's very satisfying to do, but also you're like, my berserkers just moved like 30 odd inches that turn. Like, how is that fair when you're talking about a unit that hits as hard as it does, and has blood surge afterwards as well if they try and hit you back. So that was sort of decided the game from there. Magnus tried to do some stuff. I mean, to be fair, I rapid ingressed to come in to after Magnus with the Exalted Ain't Bound, which was so yeah. Magnus came around here, cleared up some stuff, but I rapid ingressed down here where Magnus couldn't see them. and then I failed their charge the turn after. And Magnus, in his shooting, literally just picked up the unit like it was nothing. So, God, that unit is not tanky. The Slaughterbound is very squishy. It's effectively the equivalent of like 5, toughness 6, 3 wound bodies with a 3 up, 5 up. He just like because he's effectively 2 bodies, right? So yeah, I had some decent missions. Oh yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, my first turn missions, I won't force bring it down. It's pretty awful normally, but I managed to kill a rhino and kill a guy on an objective, which is okay. And then yeah, I was just in amongst him and managed just to effectively. I think I tabled him turn 3, which meant that I didn't get maximum on primary on purge because I couldn't get kill 1 or more. So whoops. But yeah, so really, really good game. James took it like a champ, and I can see him, improving and going a long way in the future if he keeps at it. So yeah, it was a good one. So we're 2-0 going into round 3. The next matchup is against one of my teammates. So Jack Sayers, lovely man. He is a very good demon player, and he's brought this list, which honestly is hilarious. I love it. It's you've got Be'lakor. You've got 2 great unclean ones, one of which has that 4-up Fiona Pain because he's in the index detachment. Both they're all indexed detachments now, but the first detachment they originally released, that demonic incursion, that 6-inch deep strike and charge. He's got Rotigus, he's got Scarbrand, he's got Skulltaker running solo, a little missile, and then he's got 3 Nurglings, 3 solo beasts, 2 units of free flamers, and 5 hounds. So it's literally 5 big guys, and then a bunch of scoring and a little missile that might, take out a character somewhere and be very happy doing it. But so me and Jack have played each other quite a few times with with slightly different matchups sometimes, but with the Demons and the World Eaters matchup, historically, World Eaters are very good into Demons. Now, I did say to Jack at the start of this, I was like, I don't know if that's the case with this because God, Great Unclean Ones are incredibly difficult for me to remove. The Berserker, like the one thing, I've done a lot of maths with the Berserker unit, like what it's good at killing, how much damage it does to this unit. Can it one shot a unit of Wardens with the Fiona Pain? The answer is yes, it can. Can it kill, a Land Raider? Can it kill a Monolith? Can it kill? And the worst thing for that unit to hit out of everything I've done with whatever buffs I get is the Great Unclean one with the Fiona Pain. So that was a little bit intimidating. I was like, I run into it and I just bounce. I mean, I still take like half its wounds on average or something. And if I get lucky, maybe, it could go my way. 4 pluses are 4 pluses. But that is a tough, tough thing to crack. And, obviously Jack won his first 2 games. He won his first one. Yeah, was it? I think it might have been the first round he played against Death Guard, and so this list ended up beating Death Guard twice in this event against 2 very good opponents. So he's clearly onto something with this list. I think if you're into demons, I would take note of this. But obviously, that it says I won the game here. The mission was, and this is sort of a theme for this event. And I want to say this, make it very clear. I think you can be the best player in the world, but you always need a little bit of luck to go your way, whether it be pairings or the right mission at the right time, going first or second at the right time. You always need a little bit of luck to win an event, and this here was my little bit of luck. Or one of my little bits of luck, I guess, because this isn't the only time I had luck in this event. So we've got another UKTC inspired board, which is Take and Hold, Hidden Supplies, Search and Destroy. And once again, we have a very nice juicy spot for those berserks to sit and threaten lots of space, which also means that it frees up. Like, I put the Khan Rhino. I think started. I think it might have actually started in this front area because he really didn't have that much shooting. It's all flamers and stuff, and if he threw a bunch of that to try and pop a Rhino turn one into the middle, he's threatening. He's getting attacked by my entire army, and then I'm kind of okay with it. So this is the thing, right? If I try with any one of my units goes into any like one of his big guys, I'm struggling. So I want to try and double up or triple up or just wail on him. So the yeah, effectively what I did at the start here is I had the berserkers here. I had a couple of like trading pieces, ain't bound on the flanks, spawn around chilling, and yeah, so there was a lot of different stuff around, uh, and again, there's some crates missing. Maybe this is a slightly older version of the pack that I'm using on this. But yeah, so uh, we've got this mobility. We've got lots of things, and my opponent wants to sort of stat check on certain objectives with higher OC and like play uppy downy and move around and be very annoying. But once again, we've got speed on our side and lethality. So, where they have a beast of Nurgle, honestly, I don't think there's anything worse for a beast of Nurgle than 3 ain't bound. Because they ain't bound get that +1 to hit. They're strength 10, so they're wounding on 3s. They've got 2 damage each and 18 attacks on the charge. It is silly amounts. Like they just go, oh, you've got a beast of Nurgle, it's dead. Which it was just not something that was easy to do before. So that was kind of fantastic to realize early on in this game. So Jack effectively realized early that there wasn't much of a chance of like he decided he didn't want to try and stat check me and then just lose and then have a very very low score. He wanted to try and play like that keep away game a bit more. So but the way I played that was go, okay, if you want to play that game, sure, you go over. So I gave him this quarter, and basically when I had some spawns sat there, just in case like he ever did leave that they could run on, but in a way that like I never was close to a threat range of like a great unclean one coming to charge me. And if Be'lakor came around here by himself, I have this 20-man berserker unit just sat there. So they sat there trying to think if they ever left. I think they sat there the entire game. Potentially, I mean, they were at the end of the game. My opponent had some stuff back in my home field corner and doing recover assets, so I could have gone back and killed them, but there was no benefit to me. It was like if I got something that required me to do that, like a no prisoners or something like that, I would have done it. But there wasn't need for that. So I think my 20-man berserker unit literally sat still, or pretty much sat still the entire game, applying pressure. So because from this spot they can touch anywhere, and what happened instead was we had the rest of my army just going cool. While you keep all of their big monsters back on into that corner, the rest of us will just pick up his scoring units and score points ourselves. So we were, sat on 3 or 4 objectives the entire game. There's some interesting tricks that I pulled off in this game. So on turn 1, he had some Nurglings back in this terrain, and they were there to stop any scouting forward or something like that to try and go towards his scoring units in his home area. And I picked the Pile and Consolidate 6. I charged a unit of 3 8 bound into those 3 Nurgling models, killed them quite obviously easily and convincingly. But then I'm on this side of the objective, and because I charged round, and because I could then consolidate towards the objective because I could get closer to it, I then hopped back to the other side of this wall, and suddenly I could hide. So that was a sort of a neat little trick that I think will be useful to people. we had a funny situation where Jack got assassinate and then brought in the Skull Taker with a 6-inch charge to then try and kill Invocatus, who had come forward and got on my area denial the turn before. Like I say, I was running solo, and he fluffed. It was really sad to watch because it was just really unlucky rolling. Because I'm like with dev wounds as well and damage free and full rerolls. I mean, literally, the Skull Taker is a massive executions from the index, like just absolutely shreds characters. And Invocatus just went, nah, I'm really tanky. I don't. I mean, failed to kill him back. I swear, my Invocatus will pass 4+s like nothing else, but he never kills anything. He just always whiffs. It's so funny. So the amount of times I've just had him stand in a stalemate with somebody where both sides probably should have killed each other, it's just really funny. But yeah, it is how it is. I think I then also drew Assassinate straight after that, which was sad for Jack. This game sort of felt like if Jack wanted to upset it, he could have gone for that stat check, just thrown all of his big pieces into the middle. Scarbrand came down and killed some stuff, but then got picked up by Khan's unit. Um, and yeah, I mean, it just felt like one of those games where there wasn't very much he could do because the 20-man Berserker unit just put so much pressure on. It was just like, I can just stand here all day and you have to make the play because I'm outscoring you. You know, World Eaters don't always have to unga bunga to the other side of the board. So yeah, that was round 3. And so that's the end of day 1. Which was, a very good day 1. I'm at 298 out of 300 points. The team go out for dinner. Me and Jack are friends again, and instead of opponents. And I find out that I'm paired into another friend and teammate for the morning, which was Ray. And Ray is fantastic and is a Death Guard player. And I knew I couldn't avoid Death Guard that for too long. There was, I think, 4 Death Guard players out of the 26 players. So yeah, scary. I hadn't played this matchup yet. This is my first game versus Codex Death Guard, and boy, was it a crazy one. So 83-82 is nuts. Like, I've never had a game go that close. To the point where, like, it wasn't even that the game was like one. I've had plenty of games which have ended close because I've scored really high early, and then my opponents like tabled me and then come back and scored loads later. That's not what happened in this game. This game was just like, oh, we're battling from turn 1, and it was just nuts. So the main thing to look at for Ray's list is he's got he's playing the Champions of Contagion. So he's got one very crucial strat, which is very annoying for a World Eater player, which isn't bringing any shooting. Is he has a 1 CP fight first on units with 2 characters in, which is his 2 units of Plague Marines that have 2 characters in each. Now, one of them already has a fight first ability, and the other one has a crits on 5s ability. They both have sustained hits characters. And then he's also got a 1 CP strat to do crits 5. So basically, the 2 units have the free version of each other's characters, of one of the strats. So basically, they had very similar output if you wanted it, but then you're just choosing which way to use your abilities. Then he's got 3 lead Death Shroud units in reserve, which is Typhus and 2 Lords of Contagion. And we all know that they're very scary with a 6-inch Deep Strike. With the Moa drone is actually quite effective into what I was using, because it's like 10 attacks at strength 7, AP something, like 1 or 2. I think it's 2. No, it could be 1 actually, because of the save contagion. 2 damage. So it really does mow through things like Berserkers that go down to toughness 3. So that was a little bit worrying. And then 2 of the blast drones. So not 3 of the blast drones, which was nice, but then 3 units of Poxwalkers as well. So it's got a good amount of stuff that's very scary. And the game was just like so hectic from the start. I'll just explain. we'll go for it because this one I think is one of the ones which I think will interest people the most. So I'll try and go into it with a decent amount of detail. So this is the first time I went first. So we've got it's uh what's the burning scorched earth. So it's scorched earth, dawn of war. The terrain is like this is an interesting one because I've got a decent spot. I've got two decent spots for the berserkers. Now, this one on the right hand side is tempting because you can push it up, and it really does control this right hand side entirely. Um, but then you're really lacking on the control on this left hand side, which you're also struggling to deploy in front of. So I was like, I don't know, like maybe I would try this out if I had more time to like if I had more reps on this terrain. Like maybe you would try and put the 20 berserkers here and just see if you can just shove up this right hand side flank. Um, but I ended up choosing to be in the middle here with once again the Demon Prince just on the outside of this wall. So the berserkers are all here. We've got some skirmishing stuff on the right, like the like some jackals, some ain't bound, and some spawn. We've got some jackals in this left hand side here with some with okay. Oh yeah, that was it. Because my opponent's using the contagions, which he can like swap around, or potentially because of his enhancement, get two contagions at the same time. I really, really valued the 8-bound aura. That +1 to hit was really, really important in this game. When I was like thinking about the game, I was like, right, I want that +1 to hit aura as much as possible because my opponent only has a couple of vehicles. The majority of his stuff is infantry, so I really, he's going to be making me -1 to hit. I don't have an abundance of rerolls. I don't no longer have anger on full rerolls. So I really want to keep those 8-bound alive. Now I've only got 2 units of that in my list. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll put the slaughter bound with one of my 8-bound units. And that means it will probably stay alive longer, right? Because I won't use it as like a trading piece in the same way that I would in potentially some of the other games. Spoiler alert, that didn't pay out the way I hoped it did. But it was an interesting move. I stand by it. If I was to play this game again, I would definitely make that decision again. I might make different decisions about other things, but anyway, we'll get into that. So, um, interestingly, we had an odd-ish deployment on this left-hand side where I was like, where do I want to put? So my opponent had put one of his rhinos in this terrain and I was deciding like where to put my rhino with Khan. I was like, because of this is sort of center right. I really should have said this earlier in the video. Wherever I was applying the pressure with the 20-man unit, I wanted Khan to be almost as far away from it as possible, or at least like basically covering the opposite side. So it was rare that only in that first game did they ever really end up anywhere near each other. Um, in the sense of like that is just like we I wanted them I wanted Khan to basically go for the objective that this unit couldn't threaten as easy. So I was like, Rhino's down here. This was like later on in the deployment. My opponent had put down both of his um, like blast drones, so I knew where they were and they couldn't see down here. So I was like, okay, I can put my Rhino safely here, but then there's a bunch of uh, plague marines in this rhino, they're just going to come around and pop my rhino. And I was like, in my mind at the time, I was like, I really don't want that to happen. But now, after I'm like, I'm not sure that was that big of a deal. Like, it probably wouldn't have been worth it for him to do that. Although, admittedly, this was the unit with the file blight spawn, which meant I wouldn't be able to advance near them, and also had fights first. So it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea if he had like come forward and done that. But it was just this thing. So I like deployed like slightly further back, but he was on the line and I was slightly further back. And there's only 20 inches between these areas, and you're gonna see where I'm going with this. My opponent, I went first. I then was measuring this, going, wait a sec. Maybe because I went first, he also placed his the too far. Poxwalkers. So he places Poxwalkers that infiltrate to like kind of block my scouts, but not entirely. Like he didn't like line them up at 9 inches away from my deployment zone. So I got a bit of space forward in this middle area with the 8-band unit here. So I gained a bit of ground here. The spawn sort of gained not really they were just there. They didn't really get to go forward at all. But yeah, so that he was on the other side of this wall, an inch away from the wall, which meant I got like 2 inches out of my deployment zone here, a bit, same over here. So I got a little bit of space out here. So that was really, really good for me. But because I went first, and I realized this rhino is on the line, so I can reach it. So my Khan's unit get out. I then spend my 1 CP because my prince is in the middle, so he's not helping, giving me that free strat. So I've got one CP. I chose reroll charges, pile in 6, and I got Khan's unit out, so they're just on the outside objective, and rolled a 6. So this is 2 games now where I've gone, yeah, screw it, let's do this advance and charge, and I've rolled a 6. So Khan's unit, I mean, if he hadn't rolled really high, there was some shenanigans I potentially could do where I could bounce off the Poxwalkers that were here into the Rhino or something like that. But I hadn't really. I was just hoping for a high roll. If I'd rolled like a 1, then maybe I might have like bailed out and just ran into the terrain. But yeah, so I yeeted the unit up. I also put the spawn forward and my 8-bound with the slaughterbound forward. And effectively, we ended up with this crazy multi-charge situation where I had Khan's unit into Poxwalkers and the Rhino, spawn into the Poxwalkers, 8-bound into a Blight drone here. Wait, I've just realized that I've not been. Oh no, I've been on the wrong screen with my mouse cursor. I don't know how long I've done that. So my Rhino started here. The Berserkers run up this far, and the Poxwalkers are here. His Rhino is here, and then my 8-bound yeet themselves up this way, and kill. Well, don't kill a Blight drone that's here. So Blight drone, Rhino, Poxwalkers, and my units just connect into multiple things. So the idea was Khan's unit kill the Rhino. The guys pile out onto this right hand side, and then the slaughterbound and a couple of 8-bound pile into them and smack the living hell out of them. And meanwhile, spawn, which are also into the Poxwalkers, and the Khan's unit had a couple of guys go into the Poxwalkers to wipe them out as well. So I think it was like 3 guys into them, and I was like, if it kills them, it's great. So then the spawn could also pile into this Plague Marine squad. I made a mistake, and it happens. I've made videos about how to do this, and I messed it up. I because of where the Rhino was, I had done the Berserkers fine. Because I put the spawn round to the other side of the Poxwalkers because I rolled a decent charge to be able to pile in, I actually blocked this side of the wall. I also did the same with the 8-bound on this side. So effectively, I ended up like taking more space out of the inside of this wall without realizing I was doing it, which meant that there was no space for the Plague Marines to sit. And so they got to pile out 6 inches, and they just came out behind Khan's unit up in this corner. And I went, crap, I messed that up. So then there was another Rhino here, which I managed to pile my Slaughterbound into, which the Slaughterbound with his go turn did 3 wounds through onto the Rhino, which put it down to 1 wound left because 3 damage each. And the 8-bound did the same to the drone and left that on 1 wound as well. Not sure how that got down to 1 wound and not 2, but I thought I had 10 wounds. But anyway, it was on 1 wound. Maybe an explosion hurt it or something like that. But yeah, it was a crazy moment where I was like, oh, really? Like that just happened where I failed. I messed up the Rhino. I failed to kill both vehicles in front of me on this side. I was like, oh, that just happened. I also had no prisoners for that, so I could have ended up like, I mean, I got 4 points because I killed the Rhino and the Poxwalkers over here, but that was like very frustrating. I also left 1 Poxwalker alive from a unit of Jackals charging it over this side. Okay, it was a bit of a frustrating first turn to mess up, But we all make mistakes, and the fact that my opponent put his Rhino on the line in such a close deployment was also a mistake in that sense. So it was really interesting start to the game, and obviously we're both on clocks, or we're both on a clock, and my first turn took a lot of time because it was a lot of like finicky movements to try and maximize not having control over my pylons, no matter what my charges were, because obviously I didn't want to base everything that I all of my models, because then I wouldn't necessarily get the goal of like piling into other units, so and hitting them, especially with the 8 bound on this side. So it was a really interesting start to the game, and I'm like, uh-oh, if he, claps back at his thing. And at the same time, by the way, I did move my all of these terrain things that were on the day, or like this. I think I'm using an out of date one for this online. There was an extra crate here, and there was an extra crate here. So there was slightly wider hidden spots in the middle. So my 20-man berserker unit did shuffle forward a little bit. It stayed hidden behind here. The prince comes forward and is towed onto this objective, but I didn't kill this unit in the middle. But I'm just nice and spread out here. So yeah, that's how I ended the first turn. So the 20-man berserker unit is now in this like whole big block here. So Ray, gets that is out of his rhinos. He gets out of this rhino with his other unit that I haven't forced out the rhino. They picked up the 8 bound with the slaughter bound, so that unit literally killed nothing, and because that drone was on 1 wound, and that was very sad for me. I was like, uh oh. But interestingly enough, he overdid it. I think he didn't realize how squishy the unit was as well, and because he killed them with the shooting from the Plague Marine unit, and which meant that yeah, it meant that he didn't get his like final ingredient at that point, which is just really funny to me, and probably was really frustrating for Ray, because he overkilled me in shooting. Uh, and then he also shot into the Khan's unit. So Khan stood there around the shape of a rhino, right? They didn't want to pile into his unit and just get hit. So he came out uh, of the he came out the rhino over this side, and then he wrapped around Khan's unit in like a U shape. Because I was like, well, I've got blood surge, and he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can just trigger fights first, and I can just shoot you and get rid of some stuff first. Like, okay, fine, but don't forget I have the blood surge, and it'll let me move after I pull models. And he didn't realize that the way you could like abuse the blood surge move. So he shot and killed some models from Khan's unit. I think he killed like 4 or 5, and then I blood surged. I can't remember what I rolled, but it was I think I rolled a 4, so I got 6 inches of movement. And because obviously that Plague Marine unit is the closest unit, I just have to end as close as possible to the closest unit. So one of my unit has to be in base with one of his unit by the end of that move. So I basically pulled all of my models away from the most of his unit and tagged the one on the end of the U with Khan, and then the rest of my models was like strung out behind because I had that 6-inch pylon still. So I was like, I can just yeet as much of my bodies as far away as possible. And so then when he activates his fights first and piles in, he actually only got 4 guys into attack from this Plague Marine squad, which didn't include either of the characters and only included like one of the big special weapons, which was massive, absolutely massive for that moment. So it was like I messed up my movement, and then Ray did me a favor and messed it up back. So we had this weird thing happening in the corner where like we're both like failing to like kill each other in a funny way. So like that fight went on for a while, and effectively it was a mutual destruction, and the second Plague Marine unit ended up coming over and finishing off Khan, and that's how he got his final ingredient. But it meant my play, so my strategy versus the Death Guard was to control the center of the board, force his stuff to fight and do stuff on the outskirts of the board. So I have control of the game, and I can sort of try and deny his things. And then the moment he brings in all of those Death Shroud, I can just run away from them, just not have to deal with them. let you can be like, yeah, you score over there, but I've taken out the rest of your army and I've scored more. Was the idea. So this first move was sort of part of that. It's like, okay, we're fighting over here in this corner, which means my Rhino scored this primary. And when he did finally get across here, it's like, okay, you're over here, but now I've just not got anything else over there, so you can just have that with your Plague Marines. But it meant basically both his Plague Marines units ended up on this left-hand flank, doing not much else after dealing with the stuff that was over there, and not really impacting the game after that. Meanwhile, I killed the guys in the middle, and I was holding the middle, and I was on this right hand side. So when Ray came in with his reserves, he brought down 2 units of Death Shroud on this right hand side, and his Flesh Mower came over as well, and effectively just destroyed this flank. Once again, he's stuck on the outside. I'd screened it, so even if he afflicted my 20-man Berserker unit, he wasn't getting a good 6-inch charge into them. So I had models within 6-inch, on this 6-inch edge part here. I had Jackals strung all along this left-hand flank, the Demon Prince at the front here, and I had Spawn here that hadn't been killed yet, and Invocatus came out because he was stood on the objective before, because he was like, I'll stay around here to stop them deep striking, and he came out and covered this flank. So there was nowhere except for maybe just in front, and you'd only fit one unit there, and I'm kind of okay with 1 unit charging into the 20 berserks, because obviously I have enough CP for -1 damage as well. So you couldn't really interact with my 20-man berserk unit. You couldn't see it to shoot it, and you couldn't charge it. Which was basically my plan. It's like, okay, I threaten wherever you go, so you need to double up your units to keep them safe. So he put both 2 units over this side, Typhus and 1 Lord of Contagion, and yeah, they just demolished this side, but that was that. I then on turn 3 basically went, okay, you're over here, you're not at home. And I did and he had a drone up here and the Rhino back here, and so I just from my unit here advanced and charged, +1 to charge, all of this stuff, and just took his backfield. So I just yeeted the unit here. Demon Prince stayed on the middle. I had Jackals screening my back. The Invocatus did the opposite of what he usually does and folded like nothing and failed all his invulnerable saves. That was very sad. And I just sort of left this right hand side entirely and went, that's yours, off you go. So now we have a situation where I'm in the center, my opponent has the left, my opponent has the right. So we've got this weird moment of and he also rapid ingresses down to come and take my home. So which then I rapid ingress to help deal, to do stuff over here. So I was like, oh, we may as well just bring in my reserves, because there's no point in using 3 Exalted Ain't Bound to try and take on Death Shroud. They'll lose. So they just came and helped me take the home field. So in this weird spot where the game's really close, we're both burning each other's homes. We're both we both just got stuff around. There's no real. We're getting into that stalemate mode of if I come at you, you win. If you come at me, I win. Okay. And we're both, because of the amount of combat we had from the moment of start of turn 1, we're both running really, really low on time. We were just battling the entire game. There was no easy decisions either. So we were very, very rushed for time, and basically just had to score out what we could at the end. It was even more not worth running at each other because of that. And we ended up with some weird situations. So Ray was using cards, and so I haven't marked on where he's discarded cards necessarily. I've just marked what he ended up with. And then I think there's a little mistake with the extend battle lines there. I think that was just his turn. I think he got rid of it on turn 4. Like I say, we sorted out turn 5 in 5 minutes. It was, or even that, not even that. It was very, very rushed at the end. And we both drew utterly crap secondaries at the end. And I won by a point. So we had this big battle for the entire game where my strategy was to keep him on the flanks and then control the middle. And I feel like I succeeded in that. My 20-man Berserker unit still had 20 men in it at the end, because he never ended up shooting it. And and it only came out when I was basically killed all the drones. So yeah, it was a very weird one. And I think if we played the game with an extra half an hour, I think a lot of things change on those like turn 3, 4, and 5. Um, but I just don't know which way that would cause the game to go. I think Ray got a bit unlucky with my like a bit unlucky with some of the ways that we went, and I think maybe he would have, if we had had more time, would have won the game. But that's how the time works. That's the reason why we were on a clock in the first place. So it was a interesting game. Like those secondaries at the end was crazy. The fact that both of us got extend battle lines and got 0 points on it is hilarious because we took each other's homes, and you can't score it when you unless you've got only one unit left. Um, it was a fantastic game. I couldn't stop thinking about it later, and I still am thinking about it, like replaying different scenarios of like, what if this, what if that. If I hadn't made that mistake at the start, then I think he would have been in huge amounts of trouble. But then vice versa, if he hadn't made the mistake after that, then or hadn't made the mistake of putting the Rhino there in the first place, it's just utter crazy game. And I've just noticed I've been rambling on for over an hour, but I think World Eater Death Guard is not as dire as people might think, and I think it's very much about that applying pressure and forcing them to engage with you in areas that aren't important. I think is the main thing, a strategy that you should take away from this. So this makes me, because of the other people who had gone. So there was at the start of day 2, there was 3 of us that had been undefeated on day 1, which meant Jack, who I beat in the last round of day 1, he played against the other undefeated person and then beat him, which meant we had just me undefeated. So there was I could have played, or well, there was 2 people that I'd already played in that 3-1 bracket. So there was only a couple of options of who I could play in the last round. Now, uh, I didn't know what I wanted to play against. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I did want to play against the Necrons because I feel confident with this listen to Necrons, whereas I didn't feel as familiar into OW. So um, I played against a great guy called Jack Chapman, I want to say, a member of 6 Plus Plus. You should totally go check out their content. He runs their TTS fight nights, and he's really got a smart head on him, like when it comes to like thinking about the strategies of the game. So I was like, this is probably like I was expecting this to be a really tough game. Because of like he is a really good player and has got a good head on his shoulders. The thing about this though is one, tower kind of not great at the moment. 2, he's playing retaliation cadre, which means he wants to get close to me, and I love it when people want to get close to me. 3, unfortunately, Jack was really not well. So you look at this scoreboard and it looks ridiculous. And it only looks like that because uh, in Jack's turn 2, while he was playing, and he was really struggling due to health, and he was looking at the board state and going, I'm not sure how to. I mean, here's the board. So I didn't go through his list. But I mean, feel free to pause it and look. But it's a lot of battle suits. A lot of all the leaders match the different battle suit types. And then he has the 3 enhancements that are worth taking on them. And it's, I think, a really strong list. And clearly it was. He did very well in the event. But yeah, it was just not, once again, it's right match at right time for me. This board is really good for me. Like it's a struggle where the opponent is gonna go. So there was some interesting things that did happen. There is one thing I want to highlight that did happen in my turn 2, which was a nice cheeky move. But basically, effectively, my Jack realized that he was really, he didn't think that there was sort of a path to victory for him, and he wasn't feeling up for being unwell. when he could go home. Because obviously it's the end of the event, and he couldn't see a way of winning the game. So he just thought, well, there's no point in, you know, he could either lose the game now, or in his mind lose the game later. But he could just be well and well. It's like, well, okay, so so he made the decision to seed and go home because he really, really like wasn't feeling well, which is unfortunate. It meant I got to go around and watch some of the last games, which was really good. But yeah, the like I had Jackals holding the middle. If he put anything on it, I killed some of his like scoring screening stuff early on. 2 units of spawn went out and killed a unit of pathfinders and a unit of stealth suits. Um, my rhino shoved down this right hand flank with oh yeah, so the 20-man berserkers are sat in this terrain. They after the first turn, they're just sat here. There is nowhere where he can get an angle onto them because I've got all of my so on all of these quarters ones, I effectively just screen out like almost the entire board except for their deployment zone and just outside their deployment zone when it comes to reserves coming in. So it's just really, really difficult for people to deal with that when you can screen so much of the board. And yeah, so I've got like 8-bound staged here. I've got 8-bound that did come forward to help the spawn kill that unit with applying their aura and getting the air age now. But yeah, so he brought a ghost kill down here and tried to pop my rhino, um, which failed. And then my guys got out of the rhino, and I was like, oh, I can choose the 6-inch blessing here. Okay, cool. There's an objective here that I want to sit behind this wall on, but I've got something to kill that's outside the wall. So I strung my guys out a little bit just so they didn't end up wrapping to the wrong side of the ghost keel to be too far, and charged this front side of it, picked up the ghost keel, and then consolidated back all towards this objective, and ended up with my entire unit behind this terrain piece here. So it was a really nice little technical move, where yeah, I've done it again, haven't I? I need to stop doing. Oh, I'm so sorry if you're watching this. I'm clearly not as professional at this as I would wish I was. So yeah, 20-man in here. Then we've got Jackals holding this middle objective. Um, 8-bound holding in here. The Rhino comes down here. The Ghost Keel is out this side. So I charge into the Ghost Keel over here. Tag this right side, left side of the Ghost Keel. Kill it, and then pile him back. And my entire 10-man unit sits behind this terrain nicely here from the Riptides that are over this side. And yeah, it was basically I'm just sat here scoring. I was gonna get I had Invocator stood on this objective going, shoot me, I will sticky the objective. And he had nothing because I killed like some stuff on this side. He really didn't have any way of getting over here. And like I say, I had the 20-man berserker unit on the terrain here. So completely threatening. I mean, I could be here before charge, 20 berserkers, or over here, or wherever, and Demon Prince is in the middle with Jackals keeping him on lone op. So no matter what happens, I'm just going to pick up and control these objectives. So yeah, Jack was really struggling on a way of like breaking through that, and it's just one of these things where, like, once again, the berserkers didn't do anything except exert pressure. That's, I think, the best thing for them. So yeah, that's the end of the. I mean, it's a bit of an anticlimactic end, but hopefully Jack is feeling a lot better, and we'll probably get a rematch in at some point. I imagine he'd want to play on a mission terrain that is more less favorable to me, because that was a very, very favorable mission for me. So at the end of the day, I won a GT. It was the first one, as far as I'm aware, that Codex, 10th edition Codex World Eaters won. I think my list was really, really interesting. I really, really enjoyed using it. I think that's one of the main things. Yes, I don't have Forge Fiends. I don't think they're necessary. I do think they're good. I think terrain dependent for a lot of things. I think we have some flexibility in list building. Things that I learned from the event and might change. So I thought I was going to potentially use Invocatus to lead units to help with like screens and things. I don't know if that's the case, so I might swap him out for another unit of spawn and change one of my Jackal units up to Goremongers or something like that. I'm going to play around with that. That's an idea. So if you're not a fan of Invocatus, then that's potential an option for you. If you are wanting to copy this list, I hope that this video has been helpful for you, but also please, please, please do look at the terrain mission pack. If you've got nowhere safe to deploy the unit in, because I mean, worst case scenario on that, let me skip to that back to that second one. Worst case scenario on this mission, if I was like, oh, they've got these like speedy things that are just going to obliterate my unit, I just put the whole unit in here, right? It's a little bit more defensive. I wouldn't have been able to do the move that I did, probably. It's slightly further to go. But it does let you safely go from this spot into this spot. So, yeah, please, please, please do check out the terrain that you're running and the event. Because it's so important, and the different missions as well. Because maybe you want more MSU for for more action related missions or something like that. I don't know. There's if you've stayed to the end of the video, you still listen to me ramble. Thank you so much for your support, and please, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, give it a comment. Once again, sorry for any times that I was gesturing with my mouse and it wasn't visible on the screen. It's really unfortunate. Hopefully, I was easy enough to understand when I realized it. So, yeah, thank you. And that's the end of the video. Please, please, please put in comments like suggestions for other videos and like what you want to see. Because it's a lot easier to make a video if I know that you already want to see it. Okay, thank you very much.